We're going to talk about agenda, College Board agenda with agriculture and stuff first, and then we're going to move back in units and start going back through, and I'm going to show you what it is they want you to say. So let's just go over some ground rules. Let's go with the good list and the naughty list, and this is all according to the College Board, right? Any biologist from any trade can probably argue with with all of these, right? I know I can as a forestry nut. It's not said that my good list and naughty list is the College Board's, okay? So first off, mature and old growth forest will always be seen in a positive light every single time. Pretty much everything else will be seen as negative. Uneven age management is really the only forestry technique that they're going to want to see. These two things go hand in hand. Those two things are connected. Selection harvest is how you create an uneven aged forest. It's the most laborious, it makes the least amount of money, it's the least efficient by far, but remember, like bottom end profits and like what business actually does is not the College Board's concern. They are in favor of their agenda. If they were a forestry, if you ask a logger or a forester, they're probably going to answer differently, right? But this is their agenda. Okay, same thing with irrigation, or well, let me continue on with forestry. Clear cutting will always be a negative frame. It will always be seen as negative. So if you're trying to match a negatively framed question with a negatively framed answer choice, you see the word clear cutting or clearing, land clearing, you see that anywhere, it's always a negative mindset. It's always a negative frame, okay? Irrigation, drip irrigation is the only thing they will see as good, as a positive frame. All other forms will be negatively framed in the question. Negatively framed in the answer choice or in the question. Right, spray, furrow, and flood. And it's gonna say, for spray, the answer is almost always gonna be evaporation. For furrow and flood, it's either gonna be evaporation or salinization. More likely salinization or erosion. It's only one of those three things. Erosion, evaporation, or salinization, with those that they see as bad. So once you know their agenda and what it is they're looking for, it becomes actually very quick to see where they're going and what they want, you know? Okay, plowing on contour. Again, it's difficult, right? You have to be done with a topo map and things. Any sort of leveling the land so that it's easier, you can drive the tractor any direction you want. Land clearing and leveling will always be seen as negative. No-till agriculture, let me talk about this for a second. No-till versus till is typically it's not really a federal discussion, it's more like a state discussion. There are some till states and no-till states. No-till agriculture, where they use a no-till drill instead of discs and plows, will always be seen positive, in a positive frame. Discs and plowing and tearing up the land will always be seen as a negative frame. And so no-till, tilling and plowing, always gonna be seen as bad. Let me jump down here. Meat production, really almost any form of commercial meat production is gonna be seen as bad. They're gonna hit cattle a lot. That's why I've got cows up here specifically. They're gonna hit on cows, and it's either gonna be cow farts, right? You know, the connection to methane and climate change, it's gonna be that one. It's gonna be clearing a rainforest or land clearing for cattle, something like that. Or it might have to do with water efficiency, but probably not. Cattle are extremely inefficient when it comes to water and food. And you may see one of those questions, but more than likely you see cows, it's always gonna be a negative frame, it's probably gonna have something to do with climate change. Same thing with aquaculture. Aquaculture is almost never seen in a positive frame. If you do, it will be the idea that you can't feed 8 billion people without aquaculture, right? But other than that, it will pretty much always be a negative frame. Aquaculture, they're gonna hit on waste, they're gonna hit on parasites, and they're gonna hit on diseases. One of those three things. But either way, it's always gonna be negative, and it's gonna be one of those three things. When you're studying your flashcards, when you're making these agenda cards, particularly doing this is gonna help you big on FRQs. Because, like, list and describe potential negative effects, environmental effects of inshore aquaculture. Does that sound like an FRQ? Yeah. I just made that up, right? That's how they write things, right? And if you're doing those agenda cards, you know in aquaculture, what's the problems? You know, parasites, disease, waste. There's your answer, right? And you don't have to sit there and think about it. And I'm gonna start going back through older units and trying to help you do the good list and the naughty list for every unit. Cool?